everyone. My name is Bukola Osidibo. I work with Institute of Directors, Center for Corporate Governance. I work as a programs, training, and membership head at the center. Thank you for having me. When I saw that there is no straitjacket definition of corporate governance, so because it varies globally, but everything sums up to mean the same thing. So basically, corporate governance means how companies and organizations are being managed and controlled, so to say. So what this means is that for corporate governance to be existent in an organization, there has to be structures, there has to be mechanisms, there has to be resources in place to ensure a successfully managed organization, so to say. So corporate governance is how organizations are being run and managed, basically. The question should rather be like, does corporate governance impact any business, or irrespective of the magnitude? And the answer to that question is yes. You are being entrusted with stakeholders' fund or even your fund. So corporate governance is it has to be in place irrespective of the size, the sector, the theme, or the organization, so to say. Corporate governance is very, very key for any organization. So yes, I would say yes, corporate governance has an impact on hubs because first, every hub is a standalone on its own. And so there has to be corporate governance to ensure that your focus, you don't deviate from your focus, you are in line with what you set out to achieve, and you are on course. So the first system I'm going to recommend is data governance. Dealing with trainings, which means that there has to be research work, there has to be some interactions with global organizations. You're also working around entrepreneurship, which means that you are going to be picking from best practices globally. So data governance is more like, this is a combination of people, processes, technology, and systems, all that works to ensure that the organization's data is accurate in one place and accessible for authorized persons to use them. Another system I'm going to recommend would be knowledge management, because again, the hub deals with training, entrepreneurship, sharing of one would be information technology. We all know that the world has gone digital, and any organization that has not keyed into that is practically left behind. So IT is also a very verifiable and viable tool in this age and time for good governance in whatever we are doing. So I'm going to respond to that using the NCCG code, that is Nigerian Corporate Governance Code 2018, specifically in Principle 14, which clearly talks about boards and then how they are selected, how they succeed, their terms, the diversity and all of that. So I think for any serious organization, if you look at that Principle 14, it gives you a clear guideline of how boards are selected, how they are changed, how they are evaluated in terms of performance, because you can't just have board members without evaluating them and know that whether they're making impact on your organization or not. You can have them for life. So how do you review, how do you change succession planning? So I think that is very key to look at that principle, and then that helps in taking such decisions. So it depends on what is contained in every organization's memorandum and article of association. However, recourse should be given to the NCCG code, as I said. So their tenures and their succession also depends on what is contained in respective organization's article. But it should be in line with the NCCG code of 2018. So again, it will take me back to the SCCG Code 2018 that I just mentioned in the last question. So this principle 14, like I said, it itemized the requirements of board membership, roles and expectations, liabilities, responsibilities, and all of that. And so one of the things under that code is talking about board evaluation. So the code says that internally, every organization should evaluate their board members annually. That is internally, which means that their company secretary or their company secretariat should evaluate their respective board members vis-a-vis their performance, their contributions, and all of that to the progress of the organization internally. However, we all know that he who pays the piper dictates the tune, which means that there are some questions, there are some prodding questions that the company secretary might not be able to ask because his or her salary is being determined by these board members. So the code went further to say that even if you do this evaluation internally every year, it is good to have it at least once in 3 years. Get an external person to evaluate these board members who can ask the questions that the company secretary cannot ask, who can say the truth, who can be objective in terms of performances and contributions of these board members to your organization, at least once in 3 years. So in response to your question, I would recommend the NCCG code requirement, which says that at least every year, there should be an external evaluator who evaluates every board member or the activity of the entire board once in 3 years. I'm always careful to give one corporate governance feature because every feature is important. Every feature has a role it plays in a good corporate governance structure in place. But most times what I always advise is for every organization that is serious with their corporate governance structure to always employ the feature, the entire feature of RAFT. We call it RAFT in the corporate setting. That is RAFT, which is responsibility, accountability, fairness, and transparency. If any serious organization is able to live through these 4 principles, this RAFT technique, I tell you, they're going to be around for a long time, and it's going to be a very reliable organization.